Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Healthy AF. Today I have a quick and easy tool for you to use. You know, I tend to dive pretty deep into mindset work, limiting beliefs, moving stuff out of your way, but sometimes you just need a quick and dirty tool. And so today I'm going to bring you a quick and dirty tool. It's based off the Ho'oponopono prayer. Now, I'll put a link to the Ho'oponopono prayer in the show links. I've talked about that before. I love it. Never a bad time to pull out a Ho'oponopono prayer. This is a somewhat similar kind of shortened version that actually I got to create and use with my group coaching session with a group of women who are just, they're so brave. They're so brave looking at themselves and growing and being together and being vulnerable. It's such an honor to be in their presence and bring them new ideas. And last night, I brought them the new idea of, thank you, you allowed me to. So in this group, we've been dredging all of it up, like all of the things that happened in the past that we did not like, or all the things in the past that were really good. Our character defects, if you would. We've kind of taken an inventory of all the limiting beliefs, all the behavioral patterns that keep us where we are or have served us in younger days. And we need to lasso those guys and make sure that we are moving forward in the direction we want to move in, not in the direction that we've always been in, right? And that work takes courage and it takes a lot of grace, okay? And then there comes a time where we create a personal mission statement, where we look at who are we growing into being? What commitments do we hold ourselves to? What feels true for us? What are our guiding principles? And so we've gotten to this place in our group where we've got a hodgepodge, like gumbo pot, okay, of limiting beliefs, old behavioral patterns that stink, old behavioral patterns that really help us accomplish stuff in life, but also maybe have us work in isolation. Here's an example on that. I've got a couple of people who are high achievers and they hate group work, hate it. Do not function well in a group because inevitably they either go to, I'm going to overfunction and do all the work because I don't trust any of y'all. And the result is we're going to get a great grade, but I'm not going to make any friends. I'm probably going to be pissed off at y'all and think you're losers and you're going to think I'm a conceited butthole. Or y'all won't let me steamroll you. So I'm just going to sit back and not participate and, take what I take. See how that tool of I know how to be super successful, but it also has a cost of isolating me. Yeah, that one might not be a great one that we want to just let run willy-nilly. So we're throwing that in the gumbo pot. We're throwing in my personal mission statement to love every human being in the gumbo pot. Like we've got all these things thrown in here. And all of these things make us who we are right now in this present moment. What I find and what I found with myself is there came a time in my own personal reflections and my own personal discoveries that I had all these we'll call them discoveries. I had all these discoveries of things that I wasn't proud of, things that I didn't like. I would rather just reject them, pull them off of my past and throw them to the side. Things that worked really well for me, but I was realizing now that there was a cost I had not thought about before that was actually holding me back. And all these things that I was really proud of. And I couldn't quite wrap my head around how all those pieces fit. I kind of wanted to hyperinflate some and just completely like ignore or disown others. Well, you can't ignore or disown your past. It's your past, and there's no changing it. So how do we integrate it? And that's the spot we got to in our group last week. So I like to use this tool. Thank you, blank. You allowed me to blank. So let's think about those gumbo ingredients. And I pulled out a few examples for my group, and I'll share them with you here. Let's see. A limiting belief. Thank you, thoughts of worthlessness. You allowed me to grow into a healthy ego. Because without that worthlessness, I would not have sought growth. Thank you, vulnerability. You allow me to connect with others. Thank you, end of my marriage. You allowed me to get to know me again and rediscover who I was and evolve. Without the end of that marriage, I don't think I would have done that. Would I have chosen the end of that marriage? No. But there's something there when I integrate that I can be at peace in seeing that happening in my past allowed for something else to happen that I'm grateful for. So one of my participants brought up, she says, well, what about self-doubt? Because I just really don't get how I could be thankful for self-doubt and what it's allowed me to do. Okay, so let's talk through that a little bit. You're going to have tough ones. If you're kind of making your list, I don't know what you're going to have in your gumbo. Might have some stuff that's pretty painful. So I said to her, okay, so you had self-doubt. What has that self-doubt allowed you to do? Mostly for her, it had allowed her confidence to erode. It allowed her to make some really hard decisions that were typically not good decisions that were really fruitful for her. And so we looked around a little bit more, and finally we got to a spot of without self-doubt. And if you get stuck, just like my group participant did, I'm like, but this doesn't have any good sides. This doesn't have an upside. If you get stuck, we ended up turning it around. What would life be like if you had no self-doubt? So just take a minute and imagine that right now. You're walking around life, no self-doubt at all. Would you ever learn anything? Would you ever get curious about what you're doing? Ever reflect on anything? Ever listen to anybody else or their different perspective? Can you imagine how difficult it might be to connect with others if you had never had any self-doubt at all and you were just sure that you had everything just right? How many new ideas you might not even entertain. And so when we turned that around, she could then see like, oh, her self-doubt actually had given her something. And she said something so brilliant, which happens in group all the time, right? It's like I may be running the coaching group, but if I shut up long enough, brilliance will just come out of someone's mouth. And she said, I guess it's just got that turning point. Yeah, all these qualities just have a turning point. It's just a perspective. So by the end of the group, another participant shared that she had never been grateful for her depression. And she got to see that her depression had allowed her to develop a very strong muscle of looking for the light. Looking for the light when she was inside that deep pit of depression. Seeing it in a flower, seeing it in something seemingly small, another person, and sometimes really having to look hard for it. There are so many good things that are created when other things happen. We might not like it, but we can be grateful for all those things. Now, I don't mean to be Pollyanna and just, wish away like, oh, you feel bad? It'll be fine. There's a silver lining. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to do that. But I do think it's important when we look at ourselves, ourself, who we are right now in the present, and where we want to grow to in the future. Whether that is staying true to your nutritional commitments, or staying true to your relationship, or maintaining motivation to own your business and develop it, whatever that is. Rejecting part of you is not going to work. We all have heard what you resist persists. And it does. If you pretend there's not a burr in your shoe, by the end of the day, your heel's going to be real sore. You're best to just say like, wow, I got a burr in my shoe. What can I do about that? So when we integrate all these things with gratitude, that gives us a space where we can grow. We can really use all of those experiences and accepting who we are, and then make stuff happen. I hope that has given you something quick and easy. And if you need a little coaching around it, if you get stuck with I am really not grateful for that DUI, or I am really not grateful for that 15 pounds, turn it around. There may be something you can find that has been allowed you to learn, allowed you to connect to other people, allowed you to use that experience for something good. And when you can do that and be grateful and integrate it and accept it in as a part of you, you're going to grow that toolbox fatter and fatter and bigger so that you can accomplish what you really want to have in your life without having to bulldoze yourself through it. I hope that gives you something today. I hope you love yourself enough to be grateful for everything that you've got, whether you wanted it or not, and know that you've got a whole life ahead of you. Call me if you need any help. You can always schedule a consultation, and we'll see if we can get you in the mix. I'll see y'all later. Give yourself some grace, and I'll see you next time on Healthy AF.